Hi, my name's Colin Jarvis and I'm with Stealth Belt Inc. Today, I'm going to be discussing the ins and outs of our custom peristomal hernia support belts. I'm going to be talking about what they are, what they're for, how to measure for them, and diving into some of the details that you might need to know before ordering yourself one. So, let's jump in. One of the main things that I want to talk about today regarding peristomal hernia support belts is what they're actually for. Contrary to common belief, peristomal hernia support belts are really made specifically for maintaining and helping an existing peristomal hernia from getting worse. There's actually not any real strong clinical evidence that exists, at least not that I know of, that shows that peristomal hernia support belts are very effective at reducing the chances of getting a hernia. If you're interested in learning more about how to help prevent a peristomal hernia from forming, I highly suggest checking out some of our other videos about the importance of posture, the core strengthening, the types of safe exercises you can do, and some of the other things that are going to go a lot further in regards to preventing a peristomal hernia from forming. Knowing that peristomal hernia support belts are made for supporting existing hernias and helping to prevent them from getting worse, we can focus on one of the bigger problems that those of us that have peristomal hernias have to focus on, and that is finding a belt that's going to be comfortable enough to wear 24/7. Stealth Belt takes the approach of making each peristomal hernia belt custom made, and that means it's going to be suited to the specific needs of the patient that's using the belt. The design of the belt is going to be influenced by a number of factors. The first three measurements that we look for are the same as any Stealth Belt. So that's going to be the side of your body that the stoma is located, so right or left, the circumference of your body, so the waist size or body size at the level of your stoma, and finally the flange diameter, which is the measurement of your particular appliance. One important caveat, however, is for the waist circumference or the body size at the level of the stoma, you'll want to make sure if you have a peristomal hernia to go and lay down belly up on your bed or a flat surface for 5 to 10 minutes to allow that peristomal hernia to recede into the body as much as possible. The fourth piece of information we'll need in order to get a custom peristomal hernia support belt by Stealth Belt is to identify the type of hernia that you have. There are a couple different types of hernias, the most common of which is called the peristomal hernia, and you've heard me use this term multiple times already. Peristomal means that it's centrally located or attached to where the stoma actually is, and you can see a demonstration or a visualization of that on our measurement guide. If you have some other type of hernia, so be it a ridge hernia or a hernia that's not peristomal, it's somewhere else on your abdomen, that will be something that you'll want to indicate when placing the order for a Stealth Belt. Now that we've determined the type of hernia that you have, the next step is to determine how big the hernia is and where it is in relation to the stoma. Since peristomal hernias are the most common, we're going to use that as an example. During this measurement step, we're going to be using the stoma as the center point and measuring each direction, left, right, up, and down, to determine how big the hernia is and where it is in relation to the stoma itself. This information is going to help us custom make this hernia belt so that it doesn't have excess material where you don't need it and it has all the right support where you do. In order to ensure that you get all of these measurements as close to perfect as possible, the way that you actually order a custom hernia support belt from Stealth Belt is to call us directly, and our phones are available from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on weekdays, and we'll have phone representatives available to help make sure that you've gotten your measurements correct, to double check everything, and to finally help you place that order. So we've discussed some of the elements of the measurement process for getting into a peristomal hernia support belt from Stealth Belt. But there are a number of other elements about our belts that make them unique and worth considering if you have a peristomal hernia. One of the primary differences is the fabrics that we use. The fabrics are going to be far more comfortable for daily or 24/7 use, and it's just going to make life much more comfortable. When constructing a peristomal hernia support belt, we sew in a layer of fabric called Pellon to the inside of the belt, and so that will be underneath the layer of fabric that touches the skin, so you won't feel it. But what that fabric does is it's a non-stretch material, and that means so when we're measuring the size of your hernia, we're matching that roughly to the size and shape of the Pellon that we'll be building into the belt, so that when you tighten that belt down, it's going to have a direct pressure right in the areas where the peristomal hernia is protruding through the abdomen. Because everybody's hernias are different shapes and sizes, the way that the Pelon is placed into the stealth belts themselves is going to look very different from belt to belt. Some belts will be thinner, some belts will be wider. It just depends on the information that you've provided during the measurement process. Another added benefit of using a peristomal support belt from Stealth Belt is that you're still going to have all of those design features that make it such a great product to begin with. Things like the zipper along the bottom of the pouch, which allows you easy access to the bag, so when it's time to empty it, you don't need to remove the belt. The hernia support belts are also going to have that adjustable closure, so you're able to adjust the size of your belt about 6 inches, which is really important, especially if you're maintaining support of the hernia, to be able to tighten that down to have more intra-abdominal pressure if you're doing something that requires a little bit more physical activity. Another design element of the Stealth belts that's included in the hernia support belts are the custom flange hole, and that was step 3 in the measurement process. But for those of us supporting a peristomal hernia, this flange hole is particularly important because you want to make sure that the support that the belts provide is as close to the size of the stoma as you can possibly make it given the constraints of your appliance. And so finally, there are a couple other things that I just want to make sure I mention before I wrap up this video about our peristomal hernia support belts. And that is, who should use these? Because there's actually a fairly high incidence of herniation after having surgery to get an ostomy put in place. But given the fact that our hernia belts do take about 2 to 3 weeks at a minimum to get created and shipped out to you, if you're a candidate for a repair of your hernia in the near future, in say the next few weeks, then Stealth Belt hernia support belts are probably not the best option for you. However, if you're a patient that has a long-term hernia or a non-repairable hernia, Stealth Belt support belts are probably going to be one of the best options for you. These custom aspects that we've just walked through are going to make for the most comfortable and long-lasting type of fit and feel that you need to be able to live a normal and comfortable life. So those were some of the key points about Stealth Belt's peristomal hernia support belts and what makes them custom and special. I hope that you find it helpful. If you have any questions or you need any support in making sure that you get the measurements correctly or getting the order placed for your own peristomal hernia support belt, please contact us directly. You can find that contact information through our website at stealthbelt.com. We've got customer service reps that are trained to be able to help you get through this process and make sure that you've got a belt that's tailored and comfortable specifically for your needs. And we hope that this will help you go anywhere and do anything. So until next time, thanks so much for tuning in.